Did you know that women were not included? They were not required to be included in clinical trials until 1993. And largely because researchers didn't want to deal with the hormonal fluctuations. Men are just seen as the average human, and we were treated like little men. And that is obviously not the case.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Birth Lounge podcast. All right, you guys, in the age of wearable devices and constantly wanting insights on our bodies, there are options everywhere, left, right, up and down. Everywhere you look, there is some sort of device to help you track some aspect of your health. And I gotta be honest, I've tried a lot of them. I am just kind of unimpressed. That was until I found a pair of earrings that you can wear constantly that will give you deep insights into your health, your temperature, your cycle syncing, your heart rate and other cardiovascular metrics, your stress levels, your sleep. When I say it does it all, I really mean it. I'm talking about Incora Health, and you can seamlessly wear these earrings all day and night. And what I love even more is that they're actually genuinely beautiful. So you can wear them down with shorts and t-shirts, sweatshirts to the gym, or you can dress them up, go into galas and your nights out with the gals. So many health devices out there aim to be trackers for both men and women. But if you're anything like me, you believe that a woman's body is kind of superior, and we deserve to have tailored support to exactly what our bodies need because we're very different than men. Men work off of a 24-hour hormonal cycle. So every single morning, those men get to wake up feeling just like they did yesterday morning with a nice reset. And we don't. We're working off of a 28-day plus, for some of us, day cycle. So every single day is a little different for us. And I believe that I deserve to have a health tracker that is helping us understand exactly where we are in that cycle, how we can best support our bodies, and what's to come in the next coming days. Incora Health uses your ear, a prime location for accurate health tracking, to deliver personalized insights that reflect your body's unique rhythm. I love this so much. This is such a novel location because it offers stable measurement points, ensuring precise data on the key areas of your health. And I know that we all want that. I actually stumbled across Incora Health on Instagram. I had an ad pop up, and boy, are these ads getting targeted because I was locked in right away. I immediately sent them a message and asked if there was someone that I could speak to learn more about their device. When I hopped on a call with their team, I was even more blown away, and I instantly, on that call, which is kind of rare for me, invited them to be on the podcast because I knew that I wanted you to have this the ultimate health girly. And I really do believe that having specific insights individualized data about our bodies can help us become the best and healthiest versions of ourselves. And Incora Health is really being a pioneer in this. I'm so excited to have their co founder, Theresa, join me today on the show. You're going to hear us talk about their data collection and what they do with that, the research and development and the science behind their product. And Theresa is going to share exactly how you can use the insights from your Incora Health earrings to live a better, healthier life. So without further ado, Theresa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, HeHe. I'm just thrilled to be here.
I'm so excited. So I get excited for like every episode, but this is an episode I've literally been looking forward to. I've been talking to your team. I was like, please send somebody on my show. I really want to get the word out about this product. I have been all in from the day one that I learned about your product. So I'm so excited to share it with my community and my audience. And I can't wait to dive into this. But before we get into the real nitty-gritty, I think we could probably tackle the elephant in the room of what are wearable devices? Why are we seeing this huge rise in wearable devices? And what do we as consumers, as women, need to know about what to look out for, how to pick products, and what are the benefits that we're going to get from wearable devices?
Yeah, I think that wearable devices are so popular because we're moving into this era of personalized health now,
Yeah.
where they're not interested in just general metrics. They want to know what's happening in their body. And we have this tech now that gives us like this inside view into what's happening into our own specific bodies. So wearables are really cool because they give us an idea how we're sleeping, how we're eating, how we're recovering, how great our workout was. And so it's really giving this like holistic view of our own personal bodies. But wearables they are definitely not made for each person. So what I mean by that is it's generally a one size fits all approach right now where wearables are made unisex for men and women. And what we're trying to do is really change the game and to say, no, 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 women's bodies are very different. Our physiology is very different. And we want to lean into that and give women a really good picture of their health based on their unique health metrics that's related to their menstrual cycle. So we're so excited to let women cycle sync, which is incredible and so eye-opening and so powerful when done correctly. And so we're hoping to give them a tool to be able to do that.
Heck yeah, I love that. And I am no stranger to saying, yeah, women and men's bodies are so different. And I just a firm believer that we're superior. I just think our bodies are so much better than men's. I just think we have the cooler of the two. Not that men's bodies are not cool and not good. We need both, but I just think women are superior. And I'm certainly not biased or not non-biased in that thinking. Like I am definitely pro woman all the way. Okay, so there are a couple of other devices out there on the market. I want to know how you came up with earrings specifically because to be completely honest, that is what caught my eye first. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love that I can wear earrings every single day, all day long, sleep in them. It's kind of like a set it and forget it." And I was so drawn to the idea of earrings. And then when I saw the earrings, I was like, whoa, those are totally my style. They are cute and they're classy and they're chic, and you can wear them with so many outfits. And so, how did you come up with this idea of wearable earrings that also track your health metrics?
Yeah, so if you can believe it, it was back in 2014.
Oh my
And I was pregnant with my third child, which I swore I would never have more than two. At this point, I'm a stay-at-home mom, which I swore I would never be. And I was on my way to buy a minivan, which with my husband,
Also
I
swore you would never
swore
drive.
I would drive. So we are driving to buy this minivan, and my life is looking very different than what I thought it was going to look like. But I had been a longtime user of natural family planning or fertility awareness method, and I've been tracking my temperature every morning for years. And I hated doing that.
Mm.
So that for me was so cumbersome. It was so inconvenient. I really detested having to wake up at the same time every morning and like remembering to put that thermometer in my mouth before I got out of bed and just trying to capture that really good data so I could make those decisions and be able to plot that information and have that data at my fingertips to make good decisions about fertility management. So I'm now super pregnant. I'm weeks away from giving birth to my third child. And I was with my husband and saying like, I'm gonna have to do this again after just a couple of weeks, and I really hate doing this. And I just started complaining. And he's an entrepreneur as well, and he has a PhD in biomedical engineering. So he's a smart aleck and was like, well, if you're gonna take your temperature, it needs to be surrounded by vascularized tissue to get the best reading, and it needs to go in a body cavity. So think of all your body cavities, and probably your mouth is the best one. And he said that, and I was sitting there and I went, but my earring goes through like flesh in my ear, and that's a cavity, right? Like it goes through and comes out. Like, couldn't we put the thermometer in the post? And he got really quiet and he cocked his head, and you could like literally see the wheels turning. And he's, yeah, like we might be able to do that. And so we started pursuing that. So we went home and just started seeing, has anybody else come up with this idea? And then we hired a patent agent to comb through like prior art, and they couldn't find anything like this. So we applied for a patent, and then we're off to the races, where we knew we had this really cool idea. But my husband had founded a cancer research company. And so he was in CEO tech mode himself, and he couldn't spend time on this. And my background is in broadcast journalism. So I have no science background. I just knew what I wanted, right? So it's like, I just knew that I wanted a product that could deliver this for me, but I didn't necessarily know how the roadmap to take it there. So that was the missing component, is we needed somebody who could wrap their arms around the science and the tech and help us make this into reality. And that is where my business partner comes in, Lindsay Calcutt. She also has a PhD in biomedical engineering, and she has 20 years of bringing medical devices to the market and was equally passionate about women's health. When I told her about this and told her about this idea and what I thought it could do, she was fully on board and dropped her very stable day job and became our CEO, and has just taken us to where we are today. So I'm so thrilled to have partnered with somebody who has the same vision and passion that I do to make this a reality. So initially, this was just more of a fertility tracker. That's what I thought it was going to be. And again, this is back in 2014. So wearables are just starting to be on the market, and Fitbit's becoming popular. And I thought, oh, this is going to be such a great fertility tracker, and all my friends are going to love this. And then as we started to develop the tech, and wearables became more and more common, and the tech became really great at sensing other things like heart rate variability, blood oxygen, and you could get all these really accurate metrics about your health. We thought, wait a minute, we need to broaden this, and we need to make this into a women-specific wearable that incorporates fertility and reproduction tracking, sure, but also gives like a really holistic and comprehensive view of women's bodies based on their menstrual cycle. And nobody else was doing that. So we saw an opportunity to really advance women's health in that way.
That is awesome. Don't you love it when you have friends that you can convince to make that leap of faith with you, and you're like, come on, be crazy with me. Leave
I mean, 100%. And I have to thank her husband too, because like he also was on board with her quitting a very stable job and having to raise money and get people excited about this idea. And that's risky, but we are just so thrilled. We're so excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I too am a big fan of cycle tracking and fertility awareness. I've been tracking my own cycle since 2018, and actually a wearable device for tracking my menstrual cycle was my very first introduction to wearables. And I was a little nervous because in 2018, we were totally not ready to have a baby and totally not in a place to have a baby. And I really was taking this leap of faith to do something new in what I would hope would help us avoid pregnancy. But because what you said, like wearables were so new at that point, there was still a lot of skepticism. Even my husband, which was my boyfriend at the time, we were skeptical on whether it was going to work. Were we going to end up pregnant accidentally? We didn't know. And so I did a lot of education for myself and for him about tracking our cycle and what was this wearable capable of and what was it not capable of, what could we depend on it to do and what could we not depend on it to do. And over the years, we successfully avoided pregnancy since 2018. And so we have found a lot of comfort in wearables. What type of metrics is Incora tracking on us? And then how can women use that to their advantage? And what kind of benefits come from having all of those metrics? Are we taking this information to our doctor? Are we being able to recognize patterns in our own health care? Are we picking up on things where we then make an appointment and say, hey, I'm noticing these patterns and I'd like to look into this. I'd like to have labs run. I'd like to have tests run. I'd like to see if this diagnosis fits me. What kind of results are we seeing and what are we tracking?
So all of those things, and
Yeah.
you're exactly right. Those are all really important things. So we're tracking sleep, activity, stress, temperature, and those metrics are really good to give us that window into what's happening in our own body. And when you combine that with cycle syncing, not only are you able to, see if there's a red flag, like if you're having these hormonal imbalances or irregularities or something that would be concerning that you would need to take that to your doctor and order those labs and really walk down that diagnostic path, but just optimizing your lifestyle, right? So being able to know what phase you're in and to really optimize your workouts, optimize how you're sleeping, optimize what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, how to stave off cravings because, you're entering your menstrual cycle and, you're going to want sugar and candy bars. And you might say, oh, I might want to eat more complex carbs to not have that sugar craving, or I might want to eat more like leafy greens. So I want to have more iron intake during that cycle. All these things, we can work with our body and work in harmony with our body when we understand what's going on. And I think a lot of women sadly need education. I'm sure your audience is very well versed in how their bodies work and operate and can appreciate this information. But a lot of women just don't even know that there are 4 cycles or 4 phases of a cycle and what those mean, and that your hormone fluctuations ebb and flow. And when estrogen is high, you might feel this way. And when progesterone is dominant, you might feel this way. They don't know all that information. And so we're hoping to really guide women to help them understand all of that and to connect the dots of why you might feel fatigue, why you might have low energy, why your mood might be off, why you may have those cravings, why you can't run as fast or push as hard in your workout, why you woke up and you didn't have as good of a sleep as you anticipated having. We can really help, again, connect those dots and to help guide women and give them little nudges and advice and information and insights that they can help to optimize their lifestyle and their choices to really make them feel healthy and in tune with their body.
It's so interesting to hear you say this because about a year ago, I started to cycle sync with my calendar and I stopped taking podcasts on the times that I knew that my energy was going to be low and I was going to be emotional. And I started to really jam pack my days on ovulation days because I'm so productive. I'm like superhuman on the 2 days leading up to ovulation day, and one day after. I've got 4 days where I am just like rocking out hard. And so I started to really take advantage of that and utilize it to my benefit. And I saw such a big difference. I saw sales increase. I saw my sleep get better. I saw my team perform better. I saw podcast interviews be better. It was incredible to see when you are working with your body and you do actually understand the ebbs and the flows of a female hormone cycle, what you are capable of if you can match your lifestyle to that. And so it's just really cool to hear you say that.
Yeah, you're so right. You can be more productive and more creative, and you'll know when you want to schedule that lunch with your friends because you'll feel really social and fun. And then in your like luteal phase, you might feel more reflective. You might feel more relaxed. You might want to do more self-care. You might want to do things that you're not on Zooms and interacting with people. And if you can match those things up, it is dynamic. And if you can't, then you at least can give yourself grace because you understand why this time you might not feel as energetic as you did the last time you met with your friends or whatever it is. You have that understanding of what's going on in your body and you can give yourself some grace, which is really important as women too, that we are able to do that as well. So that's just another benefit is just really understanding what's going on. You can schedule your family photos if you're like, oh, we're
Yeah.
going to take Christmas pictures. It's like, when do I contact the photographer? Maybe I'll do it when I have really good skin from the collagen and hydration that's up. You will know these things, and I'm going to avoid doing it when I'm bloated and feel like I'm swollen and I
Broken
have a
out.
that's right, and have acne. That's exactly right. So even things like that is it's awesome. It's untapped potential for women, and I'm so excited for them to know about it.
Yeah, it really is untapped potential. I feel that deep in my core because when I tapped into that, like I say, I saw every facet in my life improve. And I have the luxury to be able to kind of mend my lifestyle to what my menstrual cycle is. And I like what you said that not everyone is going to have that luxury. And I totally understand that. I'm very privileged to have that luxury. I saw the difference and it was like immediate. Like within 90 days, I was like, oh my God, look at the difference in my life. This is crazy. Something I've recently been really interested in and learning about, and listeners, we will have a podcast specifically on this, but is PMDD, so premenstrual dysphoric disorder, where women literally feel crazy and they're like, why am I acting this way? Why do I have these thoughts? Why am I angry and raging? And then once they realize, oh my gosh, it's hormonal based. This is not me. It's not necessarily poor mental health. This is truly a cycle that's going in my body. Not only does it give you comfort of, okay, this has an explanation. I'm not a psychopath. And I also have actionable steps that I can take to better support me. Maybe that is mental health counseling. Maybe it is medication. Maybe it is getting labs drawn to see if there's imbalances. What kind of role does Incora play in things like that? Not necessarily PMDD, but just being able to recognize those patterns in ourselves.
Yeah, so you can recognize those patterns in yourself when you are having that daily data dump and you can see all that. And we have a really beautiful app that outlines all of that so that it helps women keep track of what's going on. You can log other symptoms that the sensors aren't taking, but that has. So it's like this comprehensive place where you can have and store your data information. So it can detect things before maybe you notice it's a problem. So you may have elevated temperature and it stays elevated. And this is like beyond the spike that you might see for ovulation. Maybe it just stays elevated because you're having a thyroid issue. And we're not diagnosing things, but we are able to nudge the user that, hey, you might want to have a conversation with your doctor, or you might want to do this or that to see if this is something that's a simple fix, or needs a deeper dive into what might be wrong. So we're really trying to give women a place where they can have this good, solid, rooted in science bio data, but again, tapping on or into that cycle data that helps really inform, do I have low HRV because I'm in a certain phase, or is this something that is concerning, or I'm really stressed out and I need to really take measures to have a better recovery here, or is this just part of a hormonal phase and this is totally normal? And like wearables on the market now that are, again, that one size fits all, made for a man's 24-hour hormonal cycle, you're getting that data. You're getting data geared for a man's sort of static cycle. And we are dynamic creatures, again, have these hormone fluctuations that really do impact our lives. And so we're offering women just a really holistic view of what's happening and have it laid out really beautifully in our app where they can keep track of it and really decide, is this something worth bringing to my doctor or not? And then have some really practical guidance about what they could do if it's not. If it's something that you can just tweak and fix, then have some practical guidance on how to do that.
That is so cool. Something else that's getting a lot of light right now is obviously like nervous system regulation. And a lot of what you are saying is not nervous system regulation based, but it's information that can help you understand, is my nervous system regulating itself? Am I a little bit on the fritz? Should I be looking into how I can better support my nervous system?
Absolutely. Like it's all part of that winding down, right? In the evening, like you need to have your heart rate lower and make sure that your body is going into a good state where you can have a really quality night's sleep. And so it's what can you do in the evening to prepare yourself for that and really set yourself up to, again, have, because stress is okay. Like we're all going to be under stress, and some stress is good to have that, but it's how our body responds to that stress that's really important. And we also want to provide insight into that, into how you're responding to the stress and what you can do to, again, wind down, to bring yourself into that more peaceful, calm state. And women are really interested in stress and managing that, as that's something that we've heard from our community, that stress is very important. So it's not just fertility and sleep and activity, that they also do want to understand how to calm themselves down and how to make sure that they're in a good state, because that's good for a lot of systems in your body, your cardiovascular system. So it's really important, your mental health. It's really important that you are able to recover from the end of the day, and how that happens is definitely worth tracking.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say are the biggest aspects of women's health that kind of go overlooked?
Honestly, the cycle syncing, I think
Mm.
that absolutely gets overlooked. And again, these wearables are giving data, and it's, I'm not saying it's bad data, but they're getting data, and women don't necessarily know what to do with that. You're getting this static thing like, you didn't sleep well, try winding down at night. And like a
It's
cycle
like,
based.
great, I did try that and I still didn't sleep well.
Exactly. Thanks.
What do
Go
I do
on.
now?
But Incora might say you're in a high progesterone phase, which can affect REM sleep. So try taking some magnesium and cutting back on caffeine earlier, right? Like we're giving more specific guidance that is really applicable, that you can use to actually help yourself versus just the, wow, your HRV was this and your recovery's poor. And that, gee, thanks a lot. We want people to have like really actionable insights. So I think that honestly, the fact that hormones affect everything, like we are like this different hormonal ecosystem week to week. And I think women don't really realize that. And so I feel like that part of our health data, which women's health is under research and underfunded, period. But I think that
Honestly.
specifically how the menstrual cycle and your hormones really affect every aspect of your life is severely overlooked. And we're really hoping to close the gap there.
Oh my God, I cannot wait. I literally cannot wait. Okay, I have a question. We've talked a lot about fertility and tracking and like pre-pregnancy. Would this be something that would be appropriate for someone to continue wearing in pregnancy so that they can keep track on their pregnancy and they would have that data for their doctor? They'd be able to notice any changes in patterns. I personally would love to wear it during labor to just see how badass I
Your
was in
favorite
labor.
response.
Like, how cool would that be? So, talk to us about maybe how someone might utilize it in pregnancy. And I realize that this is not necessarily you guys' goal right now, but what do you envision that looking like?
Yeah, I think again, keeping track of all of the data that the sensors can pick up is really important. And things like identifying complications early is obviously super important. And it enables that to the extent that it can. And so I think wearing it during pregnancy and just keeping track of your stress levels, how you're sleeping, being able to, in a very comprehensive way, to have, in a very organized way, to have, here are the symptoms that I'm feeling, is really good, so that when you meet with your obstetrician, you have good information and you don't forget to mention something that you may have felt. And so to have that information, I think, is fantastic during pregnancy.
Yeah.
And then after, of course, in your postpartum, you obviously want to know when your fertility is returning. And I think we all probably know someone who was breastfeeding and then got pregnant because they weren't sure when they were ovulating. So you definitely want to start wearing them in postpartum so that you can watch those trends and say, okay, my fertility is returning. I'm starting to ovulate. It's confirming ovulation, which is, again, a really great thing to do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So cool. Okay. I have a couple of questions that came from our audience when I had put this out to them and said, like, all right, you guys, I have a really cool wearable device that I'm going to be talking about and I want to share with you. Can I ask you those?
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, I think number one, and this is probably something you get all the time, but you had mentioned the data dump. We got two overwhelming questions just like constantly. Number one, how long do you store the data in the app? Like, how long can somebody go back and retrieve their long-term data? And number two, people are really concerned with data sharing. Can you share a little bit about what Incora does with our data so users are just aware?
Yeah, so we are building this like a medical device. So we like something that would be compliant in a hospital. So we take privacy very seriously. So we are making sure that all the data is secure. And then what we're really excited about with the earrings is the ability to impact women's health in a way that gives the medical community women-centric data sets, because we, we need this. Women need to have really good medical data about how our bodies work, right? And how
Not
our
based on a
bodies,
man.
that's exactly right. And so interesting. Did you know that women were not included? They were not required to be included in clinical trials until 1993.
Like I was already born at that point. That's insane.
Unbelievable. I mean, that is unbelievable. And largely because researchers didn't want to deal with the hormonal fluctuations.
Really?
Yeah, and men are just seen as the average human, and we were treated like little men. And that is obviously not the case. And so we do want to offer the medical community these really rich and robust women-centric data sets. But of course, all of that will be depersonalized and anonymized. So nobody's name will be associated with any of that data. But that is such a goal, is to really advance women's health through these data sets so that they can see how our bodies are responding and moving, and we're all going to benefit from that.
I love how you have a workaround for like, we don't have funding for the research, so we're going to get it in a different way. You're not going to keep us from learning about our bodies. You don't have to fund the research. We'll do it a different way. We're going to get this information so that we can be
100%.
empowered.
And you wouldn't believe the caliber of researchers that are coming, like knocking on our door, like Harvard, Yale. These researchers are conducting really great stuff that connects women's thyroid issues and gut health with heart rate variability. And so there are people that are really trying to make some waves here in this space, but they need some good hardware that women will actually wear. One of the researchers said, we have to like clip on this like Walkman size, like heart rate monitor. The participants would have to clip it onto their bra. Who wants to do that for weeks on end? So they want women to be able to wear earrings that has stable blood flow, that they can count on these sensors giving really accurate continuous measurements. So they're like knocking down our doors. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. all of the applications and all of the really good, rich things that lie ahead. So we're just so excited. We want to get these on women's ears. We want to get these into consumers' hands first. And then we're going to really focus and lean into the greater medical community and really making an impact, which I know we will. But we first want to make sure that women get to have them so that they can really start optimizing their lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at that at all. I approached you guys, which my community knows that I only take on partnerships that I seek out them because I want it to be very genuine and I want it to be partnerships that I truly believe in and I use the product and I genuinely love the mission behind the company. But yeah, like I say, I learned about Incora. I followed you for a while and I just realized like, wow, this is something I could really get behind. I want to reach out to them. So I'm not surprised at all that you are having people line up at your door to say, we want to be part of this mission. It's very cool. It's very cool. Okay, the next question is, what about EMF? People are really concerned about devices and EMF. Is that anything that we need to be aware of when it comes to wearable devices or earrings being next to our head, anything like that?
That is absolutely something that people are concerned about and we take very seriously. And from everything that all our research and all the studies, like this is not a concern. So it is not on overnight. So it's not like pinging and all this stuff when you're wearing it. So the Bluetooth isn't activated while you're sleeping. This was something that when you wake up, that data would be dumped into your phone. And it's no different than wearing, it's so much less than wearing ear pods or taking a phone call. So it's no more concern than any of those devices for sure.
Good. That's really good to hear. I know people will find a lot of comfort in that. That was probably the number one question. I think that EMF has really become this kind of elusive thing that people are not sure about, and it's very fear-based. And there's a lot of accounts out there that are like, no EMF, do everything in your power to get rid of EMF. But no, I tend to lean to believe that that's not possible. No EMF is really not possible in the world that we live in today. So, how do we just reduce it? But it's also a
Right.
balance of how do we use devices that have low EMF that are also going to benefit us? It's all about risk benefit analysis, like everything in life. Are
Right.
you willing to take on a little bit of EMF to get the reward of
The
using?
insights that you're able to get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I totally love that. Okay, the last question that they really wanted to know is what happens when I don't wear the earrings? So, what happens if I need to wear a different pair of earrings to dinner, or if I decide I can't sleep in them? Although I know that your design is meant to be comfortable for sleep, they have the rounded backs, which is something I absolutely love. But what happens when someone isn't wearing the earring? Is that data just missing? Does it get filled in? Does it disrupt your data? Talk to us about that.
So to get the best, most robust data, you do need to wear it. So you need to wear it to bed, particularly to get that good like cycle-based insights. And if you miss here and there, then yeah, you're going to have some missing data that you can fill in yourself if you know,
Okay.
take your body temperature, or if you're just like self-logging some of the symptoms like cervical mucus or something like that, that we do have that baked into our app. And so you can have that comprehensive data just from what you're logging. But we did really, really want to make a product that was not only beautiful, but also comfortable, right? Because we are asking people to sleep in them to get that cycle-based data. And so to your point, we made it rounded. And so I'm wearing them here. You can see that I have them on. And I also reversed it. So you can see it this way, which is reversed. So the sensing technology is now on the back of my ear. And if you run, if you run your finger along your neck, you can feel that divot right here. And it just like tucks right in there. It's so comfortable. It's 18 karat gold over titanium. It's made for sensitive ears. There's no nickel. It's not going to get irritated. So we did our absolute best to make this super comfortable. So you have no idea you're even wearing them. They're so lightweight. And we really wanted to lean into the jewelry aspect, right? We don't want you to have to wear clunky rings and watches and armbands and adhesives. And we just want you to wear this beautiful classic stud. And we do have plans for different designs and different colors and all these things that are coming up. So we're so excited. We're like geeking out on all the fun things that we can change it up for women to be able to wear it for different outfits and stuff. But It's a gold stud. That goes with everything. It's just the classic earring. So for our initial launch, we're offering the gold stud and we really want it to be something that people are proud to wear and that looks like a beautiful piece of jewelry.
Yeah, so classy and chic. You can shower in the earrings.
You can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. And then your app, is it free with the purchase of the earrings or is there a monthly cost to that? What do we need to know about using the app?
The app will be free, and then we're going to have a premium version, which has a lot more data and
Okay.
guidance and like a health coach type approach. And that will be a paid subscription.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Theresa, I know that people, I just want to say this is not a paid episode, you guys. I don't do paid episodes. Obviously, I bring on people that I genuinely love and trust and products that I genuinely want you guys to learn about. But this was so cool. I cannot stop talking about your product. I cannot stop singing your praises. I cannot stop talking about how cool and innovative this particular wearable is. This for me is just such a game changer. I love it. I cannot wait for it to hit the market and for it to actually get into the hands or ears of different women and for us to really be able to take control of our body. This was just so fun. If people were interested in getting their own set of earrings, learning more about your product, learning more about the business and the process and the data behind it, the science behind wearables or fertility tracking, where can they connect with you and connect with Incora and learn all that information?
Yeah, they can head to our website, incorahealth.com. That's Incora health.com. They can join our wait list. We're going to have a smaller launch coming up and it's going to be invite only. So you have to join the wait list to get on that invite only list and get that opportunity. And we're so excited. Thank you for your kind words. We're in clinical trials right now. We're thrilled with the data that we're seeing. That really just proves that this is going to be a game changer for women to really have something beautiful, sleek, elegant, convenient to wear that is giving these really comprehensive, robust, and personalized insights to help women really lean into the beauty that is their body and the rhythms and fluctuations of hormones. When you work with them, it is such a game changer. So thank you for the opportunity to share.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. You guys, I'm already on the wait list. I've been on the wait list for 2 months now. I'm like eagerly awaiting for this launch. Thanks for being here, Theresa. Truly. You guys, we will link everything in the show notes. I know that you are just as jazzed up about hearing clinical trials being done about this wearable device as I am. It was one of the things that sold me on the Incora earrings. And I love how data driven it is. I love how women centric it is. And I love even more how classy and chic and easy it is. When I say set it and forget it, I really mean it. I try and have as many set it and forget it things in my life because I just have so much going on. And I think this is going to be such a game changer for so many women. All right, you guys, I'll see you in the next episode. Be sure to follow Incora Health on social media, and you can find me at Tranquility by HeHe and at the.birth.lounge. Until next time, head to your app store and download the Birth Lounge app for evidence-based childbirth education and data-driven postpartum support delivered straight to your phone. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. I love hanging out with you, and it is an honor to be your go-to gal when it comes to preparing for your baby. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and tell others why they should be listening to the Birth Lounge podcast too. You deserve to have a birth that you love with a provider that values your autonomy and respects informed consent without all the trauma that you so commonly hear about on social media. New episodes air every Wednesday and Friday. Hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. I'm HeHe, and this is the Birth Lounge Podcast.